Time to dig into the NFL draft. Mike Tannenbaum ready to call his shots for the top 10 in next month's draft. He sees Michigan's Aiden Hutchinson as the top pick for Jacksonville, followed by cornerback Sauce Gardner at number 2 overall. And he also has Carolina taking the quarterback plunge with Kenny Pickett at 6. And our NFL front office insider Mike Tannenbaum and senior NFL draft analyst Mel Kiper Jr. joining us now. All right, gents. Mike, I'm going to start with you. You have the Jets taking Garrett Wilson at number 4. What about Wilson makes him the top wide receiver off the board and good for the Jets?
Jay, he's the best athlete in the draft, and he only had 2 drops last year for Ohio State. When you combine that with his production, 12 touchdowns, 15 yards a catch, frequently you would see the first guy miss. He is a dynamic playmaker, Jay, that the Jets desperately need, especially on the outside. And he can make some of their other players be Elijah Moore, Braxton Berrios better. But make no mistake about it, he is a bona fide number 1 difference maker on the outside for the New York Jets.
All right, Mike Tannenbaum likes Garrett Wilson at number 4 for the Jets. Mel, you have another wide receiver in Drake London going at number 4. What about his skill set makes him a better fit, in your opinion, for the Jets?
Jay, completely different in terms of his size, basketball background. You think where he is right now in terms of coming off that injury, 8 games, 88 receptions, contested grabs go his way. He's that power forward mentality on the basketball court you saw translate to the football field. To me, he gives him the size. Mike mentioned Berrios and Elijah Moore. Size, he gives you that length he gives you for Zach Wilson, that red zone threat. I like Garrett Wilson. I think you're splitting hairs here, but I think Drake London would be a good fit. So would Wilson, more explosive, but I think they'd both be really good picks. Will they take him at 4? Will they wait to 10 and see who's available? Be interesting to see what the Jets do.
London, by the way, averages the shade under 136 yards a game last season, second best in the FBS, Sage.
So the question now is, what about the guys who actually have to cover those receivers, the cornerbacks? And Mike, you have Ahmad Gardner at number 2, and a total of 6 cornerbacks being taken in that first round. This is in your mock draft. Mel Kiper, was that a little head shake there? I don't know if you agree, because you have 3 going in your first round in your latest mock draft. So, Mike, let's focus on this. From a GM's perspective, why such a big-time emphasis on this particular group in this draft?
Sage, all offseason, we keep hearing about quarterbacks and receivers and Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill. We got to get off the field at some point, and Ahmad Gardner starting at number 2, and the rest of the guys go in the first round. They all have the ability to play man-to-man, and at some point on 3rd down, you have to play man-to-man and be able to get off the field. This is no doubt an era of offensive football, and we're seeing points and all the fireworks. But if we want to win championships consistently, at some point, we got to get off the field, and there's no better way to do that than be able to play man-to-man on the back end.
Okay, yes, the goal always to get off the field. And so when you go from the 6 that Tannenbaum is saying could go in the first round, again, his mock draft, Mel, you only have 3. So when you look at this class as a whole and evaluate their talent, is that a reach? What's your thought on what Mike says with 6?
Mike talks about the demand stage, and he's right. You need these guys. You need corners in this league. You don't just need 2, you need 4. So I agree, the demand is there. I didn't think the grade of these corners was worthy of being in the first round. I'm talking about the guys after the Elite 3. Kyler Gordon, to me, slots in at 4. I think Andrew Booth Jr. was expected to be that elite corner. He had an up and down season. Then you think about where we are right now with Roger McCreary, more of a slot corner, lacks length. I love Daxton Hill. If there's a defensive back in this draft that is vastly underrated, it's Daxton Hill from Michigan. He can cover in the slot. He tackles extremely well, tremendous range. He gets after the quarterback. He can do it all. And I think if you can get Daxton Hill in the late first, early second round, he will be one of the best defensive backs overall coming out of this draft.
You know what? The good thing is it seems like there's a lot to choose from in this year's draft. By the way, in 9 of the last 10 drafts, at least 5 DBs, cornerbacks and safeties have been drafted in the first round. Do you have another question?
I do. For the GM, Mike Tannenbaum, the quarterback prospects always talked about. In 2021, there was a lot of draft movement to go up and get a quarterback. Many are saying that this is a down year for QBs. So how do you, as a GM, balance the value of your pick versus the value of the quarterback you might need?
Jay, this is way, way, way harder than it sounds. You have to be disciplined, and it's so tempting to say, gosh, we need a quarterback, let's go get him. Cincinnati Bengals, actually a great example of this going back a number of years, where they had 4th pick in the draft and they take A.J. Green first, and then at the top of the 2nd round, they come back and take Andy Dalton, and it really worked out well because Green and Dalton will really pick where they are. And you look at this year's class, Malik Willis here from Liberty, Kenny Pickett from Pitt. There's some things to like about them. Like I have Matt Corral going at the bottom of the first round, but you need to be disciplined and stick to your board. And if you overdraft them, you're setting them up for failure and you're not doing a service to your own organization. But I'm just telling you, it's really hard to do, but you got to try to pick them to the extent you can as you graded them.
It should be fun. Mr. Tannenbaum, Mr. Kiper, thank you, gents.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.